can, so we're going to start recording. We're going to admit all of these beautiful people. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. We are so glad you're here. We have a special Tuesday talk for you. I'm Brenda, your host, and I have two lovely ladies today that are joining me. Crystal Cedillo Perez. Hi, Crystal.
Hello.
And Bonnie Manning. Hi, Bonnie. Say hello to everyone.
Good morning, ladies.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. We're going to be talking about dreams today. We're very excited about that. This is going to be our third installment. And we are going to just, Crystal's going to be sharing a little bit with us. Now, Crystal, you haven't really had a chance to meet her, ladies. Crystal is a very dear friend of Bonnie Manning's, and they work together and they minister together in dreams and different things like that, and talking. I think you guys have a podcast, don't you?
Crystal? Not anymore.
Not anymore. You used to have a podcast though, right?
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel, Elijah's Prophetic Cup.
Elijah's Prophetic Cup. Okay. And Leanne's going to go ahead and pop that into the chat so that you can, there you go. It's all on there. Perfect. And sis, Crystal, you are really gifted and just really have an anointing in the arts, and you have a beautiful shop. You have lots of banners and different things like that where you're expressing the love and the beauty and the majesty of Elohim in your crafts. And I just love that. So ladies, go in there and check it out. And also you have a blog. You talk about a lot of things, but along with the fact that you're very creative, you really have a deep heart and passion for the Holy One, and a passion for dreams, and a passion for people to find revelation from the throne room. And so I'm excited to kind of talk to you a little bit about that. And Bonnie, thank you so much again for coming on, sis. Love you. It's always such a pleasure to have you on. And this morning you had woken up with a beautiful song on your heart. What was that song again, Bonnie?
Well, I can't sing.
Well, that's okay. You could just tell us.
Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Oh, thank you. I feel that over me. I hope you ladies feel that over you too. You know, we don't have a lot of time. We only have an hour, and then we'll have our after party. So I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to jump in. I think that everyone that's on here, we all know you can watch these recordings later on in your library in the Rooted Cafe. And so if you miss a little piece of it, or you need to just step out for a moment, just know that you'll be able to catch the recording. We love you all. All right, ladies, I am going to turn this over to you. I'm going to bless you. We've prayed up. Ladies, I know that you came in all prayed up too. So Crystal, I would love for you to have an opportunity to share with us. You're going to be talking to us a little bit about Acts chapter 10, verse 9. You're going to start there. So ladies, if you want to grab your Bibles, go right ahead. But Crystal, just go ahead and share with us what's on your heart, sis.
Okay, so I was reading Acts 10 a while back, and I was just kind of pondering how the Father speaks to us. And as I was going through Peter's dream, it kind of gave me like an aha moment. So I'm going to start in Acts 10, verse 9. So the next day about noon, while they were still on their way and approaching the city, Peter went up onto the roof of the house to pray. He began to feel hungry and wanted something to eat. But while they were preparing the meal, he fell into a trance, in which he saw heaven opened and something that looked like a large sheet being lowered to the ground by its four corners. In it were all kinds of four-footed animals, crawling creatures, and wild birds. Then a voice came to him, "Get up, Kepha, slaughter and eat." But Kepha said, "No, sir, absolutely not. I have never eaten food that was unclean." The voice spoke to him a second time, "Stop treating as unclean what God has made clean." This happened 3 times, and then the sheet was immediately taken back up into heaven. Peter was still puzzling over the meaning of the vision he had seen when the men Cornelius had sent, having inquired for Simon's house, stood at the gate. And he called out to ask if Simon, known as Kepha, was staying there. While Kepha's mind was still on the vision, the Spirit said, 3 men are looking for you. Get up, go downstairs, and have no misgivings about going with them, because I myself have sent them. So as I was pondering those verses and thinking about dreams and interpretations, and just, it kind of hit me that Peter didn't know what it meant.
No,
He
he
thought-
didn't. He
he
really
was-
didn't.
No, he didn't. He was hungry. So just looking at the symbolisms of the dream and how, he fell asleep hungry and he dreams of all these unclean foods. And it happens 3 times. Well, there's 3 men that are considered back in that day Gentiles or unclean. If Peter had not had the intimacy with the Father and being able to hear and be obedient to the Father's voice and not so much the traditions and religions of that day, these
Mhm.
men may not have been ministered to. This whole entire house of Cornelius, I just thought it was interesting because the way the Father speaks to us, whether it's a trance, a vision, or a dream, the symbolisms in him. He was hungry, he's seen unclean food, 3 men come, it happened 3 times, but
Wow.
because he trusted the Father, he went along with it. So sometimes we don't understand what's going on in our lives, whether they're dreams or whatever, or even the interpreter.
Mhm.
But if we have that connection with the Father, that intimate time with him, and we're obedient to what he says, we see kind of how it plays out.
Oh, Crystal, I love this so much. I just want to hug you right now because listen, that's what happens to us. I have done that myself. I mean, not that I am not comparing myself with Kefa, please.
Right.
Or am I? I haven't had any coffee yet this morning. Maybe I am. No. But it would have destroyed the hearts of the people if he would have misinterpreted this dream and moved forward as we have done today by misinterpreting that dream and moving forward and having a in your face anti-Torah, anti-Bible, anti-God, God has changed his mind again type of interpretation. And he would not have ministered to those 3 men. And because of that, the world wouldn't be, the people wouldn't be able to know, the seeds wouldn't have been planted, in other words,
Yes.
for the future. So Crystal, thank you for bringing that up. Now, don't leave us hanging here, sis. What are you gonna finish this up? You're not gonna just leave us hanging here, right?
So I have a short example that happened this week that I
Okay.
wanted to share, that I believe that it's the heart of Torah.
Mhm.
And I have an older friend that called me today, and her family, she's Torah, and her family, they're not. They still do Easter, and they haven't gotten together in years.
Mhm.
So they gave her a call and asked, would you please come and just have dinner with us? You don't have to do any eggs, nothing. And she's going to do it.
Awesome.
Her whole entire fellowship is really upset with her, and they're thinking she shouldn't, right? So I told her about Peter and how, yes, sometimes we have to do things that look contrary to what's written, but that's because we're getting to the heart of what Torah really is.
I love that.
But so
Yes.
that's, the ending part of that. But I really want to drill into my own heart as well as anybody else's, is it's always about that intimate relationship with the Father first. Even beyond reading scripture, and I know that sounds horrible, but if you have that intimate relationship with Abba, something can come along that doesn't look right, but if you trust it, it ends up turning out exactly how Torah would have had it.
You mean like marrying a prostitute? Or
Don't start,
Oh,
Brenda.
okay, sorry.
Exactly.
Too early.
Exactly. Cooking your food on human dung. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Or being told to go preach to a group of people that have done nothing but try to slaughter you and annihilate your people off the face of the earth. Yeah. I'd be a little, are you sure? Wait, I think I had pizza last night for dinner. This can't be right.
And it's interesting that
Yeah.
later on in Acts, we read how a lot of the brothers of Kepha, they come against him, like, you went
Yeah,
and
of
you
course.
were ministering to these Gentiles. And it's like,
Right.
but he did, and he did it in
Yeah.
the boldness because that intimacy he had with the Father.
Yeah.
So that kind of, to me, it's understanding that's the heart of an interpreter. You have to have that intimate relationship with the Father to understand what he's saying. Otherwise, you might, for instance, if you have a dream about death,
Mhm.
and let's say the context of the dream, you have to look to see if there's resurrection in that dream. If, let's say you have a daughter, for instance, I had a dream not too long ago that my 4-year-old little girl was dying. And I was sitting there holding her, and I was weeping and I was weeping and I was weeping. And I woke up really distraught. And I, because the Father will use those things close to your heart to get your attention. And what he was showing me is, there was a part of me that was dying, that was childlike. And it had to happen for me to get to this next level. But if I didn't understand what death meant in a dream, in the context of it, I could have freaked out and thought my daughter was going to die. So it's kind of like Peter. He was puzzled. He didn't understand. But if you stay connected to the Father and you trust him, it's going to work out the way it needs to.
Yes, that's really good. That's really good. And it's sometimes dreams can be scary because we don't understand where they're at. And that's why we write them down and we pray and we ponder. And you don't sell your house if you're not sure what the dream means. You know what I mean? Don't jump into something. Pray and trust. And so go ahead, Crystal. I really appreciate you sharing these things. I want to make sure that we give you ample time. So go ahead.
Okay, and then I want to go to Acts 12.
Okay.
And I'm going to start at verse 6. The night before Herod was going to bring him to trial, Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers. He was bound with 2 chains, and guards were at the door, keeping watch over the prison. Suddenly, an angel of Adonai stood there, and a light shone in the cell. He tapped Peter's side and woke him up. "Hurry, get up," he said, and the chains fell off his hands. The angel said to him, "Put on your clothes and sandals," and he did. "Throw on your robe," he said, "and follow me." Going out, Peter followed him, but did not realize what was happening through the angel was real. He thought he was seeing a vision. Having passed a first guard and a second, they arrived at the iron gate leading to the city. This opened to them by itself, and they made their exit. They went down the length of one street, and suddenly the angel left him. Then Peter came to himself and said, "Now I know for sure that the Lord sent his angel to rescue me from Herod's power and from everything that Judean people were hoping for."
Wow.
So again, Peter didn't know what was going on. This time it says that he finally came to himself. He thought he was in a vision, so he thought this was just playing out, I guess, in his mind, but it would happen in reality. It reminded me of chapter 10, verse 9, what we just read, because Peter, he didn't know. And I guess what I'm trying to say is sometimes we don't know. Many times I don't know anything. That's my motto. I know nothing. I know nothing.
You are our people.
Yeah, exactly.
She passed the litmus test, Bonnie.
Yeah, I know nothing.
Yes,
I know
nothing. And that's kind of what was screaming at me in these chapters with Peter's, like, he was so zealous for Adonai, but every time he thought he knew something, he knew nothing. It got to the point to where he was just sitting there, just puzzled by what the Father said, but he trusted him enough. The Father can send an angel, a messenger, to come and wake him up, take him out of this prison. And we can think of that spiritually too, right?
Right.
He trusted him enough, and then he came to himself. So it goes back to, I believe, is that intimacy with the Father. And it always goes back to just knowing who he is.
I love that.
Can I jump in for a second?
Please.
Yeah, so as you were talking and I'm looking at this, Peter is sleeping and he's bound with 2 chains between two soldiers. Who sleeps bound between two chains and two soldiers? I mean, I have a hard enough time sleeping, and this man he's asleep. But then the angel of the Lord appeared, the light shines, and he pokes him in the side, like, wake up, right? I mean, that's sort of what's going on right now. Wake up from your sleep, wake up from your slumber. And it's after that, as Crystal was saying, it's spiritual too. The chains are falling off of him. The light is shining on him. He is waking up. And when we were reading the last passage, Cornelius, he was giving so generously to the people. He was keeping the hour of prayer. He was praying at 9 and noon and 3. He was giving the alms. He was doing everything. And it says that an angel spoke to him.
Yes.
Now, these angels are very curious because that word in Hebrew is malach, and it can just mean a messenger or a man. But these supernatural miracles that are happening here in the passage she just read, I mean, this feels like the Messiah himself is opening the doors. And he says, then the angel said to him, get dressed, put on your sandals, put on your shoes of peace, get dressed, gird up your loins. You're walking out of this prison. And I think it's so funny because he goes to the door where they're praying for him and he's knocking on it. And this little Rhoda, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. I know her name means rose bush, that perfume of the rose. And it says, although she recognized Peter's voice, out of joy, she did not open the gate, but ran in and announced that Peter was standing in front of the gate. And they said, you're crazy. Look for the little maid servants that are full of joy and have that crushed rose perfume, right? And let people say you're crazy. Who cares if they say you're crazy, right? So Peter just keeps knocking on the door. It's humorous, really. And so can you imagine, though? I want to see things like that happen, not just in the spirit. I want to see things like that happen in every way. It's just so powerful. But anyway, back to the visions and did you have?
Hey, give us a little background, Crystal. Give us a tiny bit of background for those that may not be aware of the story. So who was Cornelius and why did it matter that he was praying?
Well, he was, I believe, a Roman soldier. And to me, honestly, from my perspective, why it mattered that he was praying, because for one, he was considered unclean and a Gentile.
There you go.
In that modern time, and he was praying at the times that the Jews would pray. It was his heart. To me, that's the heart of Torah. It's not about your native born. It's not about the traditions or religions that you keep. It's your heart. We're always learning and unlearning, and traditions, and they're not bad. But if it's something that you can't do and it weighs you down and it's not a law of the Father, then let it go. It's the heart. So I believe Cornelius's heart honestly represents my heart. I don't know who I am. I know nothing. I'm just doing the best I can, trying to be as loving and obedient as I can with my father, myself, and the rest of his children. That's Cornelius to me.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And the fact that Cornelius was unclean in that vernacular, okay? He was unclean, and the dream came to Peter. Peter could have misinterpreted this dream and gone a whole different way, and yet he allowed the Holy One to bring about the revelation of what was happening. He opened his eyes, he kept his heart on the Father, and he looked around and he waited for God to reveal, and he did.
Right. I mean,
so that gives us hope, right?
Yes. I mean, if, let's say modern times, if somebody were to have a dream and there was somebody being slaughtered, immediately the mind goes to a dark lens. It goes to a dark place. They think murder, they think all these things, but what if it's not, right? I've always been taught that you always look for the light first. And that had to have been a hard thing for Peter to find the light in that. First, it's unclean. He was
Right.
completely Jewish. And then now there's slaughter. And he's like, now go eat. Like, as an interpreter, when I think of that, it's like, wow, like, how would I have taken that in that time? So that's a teaching tool, honestly, for anybody that's interested in learning. When you're thinking about Peter, or you're thinking about any of the interpretations or the dreams in scripture, hone in on the words that are being used, the symbolisms behind it. Slaughter to Abba is not the same thing to us. And it's important to understand how the Father speaks and not so much our own perspectives on it.
I love that. I love that. Mhm.
I love that. I love that Peter is going up on the rooftop where the vision is better, and he's getting away from everyone, and it says he's hungry.
Yes.
You know, that's something else when we're so hungry for the Father to speak to us, that, you know, he doesn't just speak to us in dreams and visions, but through his word, and getting alone, because people were preparing food before Peter had the vision, but he's going off and he's getting alone because he's hungry and he's getting that better view. And I love what Sombra just had typed up.
Yes. She says, I love the contradiction. The angel opens the door for Peter to get out of jail, but then Peter is knocking at the door to his friends and he can't get in.
Do you see
Great
Yeshua in
observation.
that? I stand at the door and knock.
Oh, man.
Do you see him in that?
That's beautiful.
What is that verse?
That's beautiful. In Matthew 7, is that what you're?
I think
Crystal,
Yes.
in the you were saying that it's so important that our hearts are focused and our attention is upon the Holy One. So when this is going to happen, we all have dreams that we completely don't understand. So talk to us a minute about that.
Well, I'm probably the best person to talk to about that, because I constantly have dreams that I don't understand. It's, you know, it's funny that somebody can send me theirs, and sometimes I just immediately know, and sometimes I have to really ponder and pray. With mine, because they're mine, I'm like, oh no, like I'm this and I'm that. And well, honestly, it always goes back to me just going back to the Father and asking him, okay, is this a dream from you, or is this from my own heart? Because sometimes we can have dreams from our own heart, and those are still learning tools. That lets us know things that are bothering us, or things that we have to correct, you know. I always try to go back to the Father and say, okay, let me see from your lens and not mine. And sometimes, you know, looking through his lens, it's still very painful.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always for our good.
Oh, that's so good. I love that. Yeah. So it's not that every dream is significant in the sense that every dream has a purpose.
Yes.
Sometimes God's speaking to you. Sometimes the Father's drawing you into revelation, and sometimes, like you said, it's a matter of your body is dealing with some things. Your mind is dealing with some things, and so you can look at that and you know, it's still significant. You still
Yes.
need to deal with those things because that's
Yes.
happening in those hours. It's important. That's why it's important to write them all down. And then you can take a breath and you can ponder and you can pray and you can ask the Father for revelation. Write them down first, otherwise you'll forget.
Yes. Write them
Write down all the details. Write down
Find
all the
somebody
details.
find somebody that you are comfortable sharing with, because sometimes, you know, this individual, they can shine light, because if it's personal and it's your dream, you might be looking at all the negative things about yourself, and somebody else can come and shine his light and be like, no, that's not it, you know, calm down. Have somebody that you trust, that has the heart of the Father, you know.
Yeah.
that That would be my
Beautiful.
advice.
Great. Crystal, you have anything else you wanted to share with us, sis?
I don't. I'm ready to hand this over
Okay.
to beautiful Bonnie.
All right, beautiful Bonnie.
Okay, ladies. Well, I feel like since this is the third one, I've covered a lot of territory, and I've just made a few notes today. Simple things that most people dream that might help you all. And a lot of these you may already know, and I may have already hit on some of them. But one thing I wanted to talk about was bathroom dreams. You know, bathroom dreams and sex dreams and all these different dreams can make people very uncomfortable. But the Father is faithful to show us, and sometimes the things he's showing us we might not want to see, but I think if we look at them in the way I want to present it, we're going to get more excited about these dreams. So, bathroom dreams. When you need to go to the bathroom, it hurts. If you're in a car and you're traveling and you have to go to the bathroom, it starts hurting. You've got to get rid of those toxins and that waste. And so, a lot of times in people's dreams, they are looking for a bathroom. Sometimes they are going to the bathroom. Sometimes they are going to the bathroom a lot. And both number one and number two, depending on, you know, what kind of load you need to get rid of. And sometimes I feel like this is something to get excited about, because if you are going to the bathroom, you're getting cleansed from something. And we all need to get cleansed from things, and especially today, and sometimes every day today, if we're not careful to guard our heart and our mind, we can get easily offended. The love of many grows cold, and we can really get off track. So if you're having a bathroom dream, let's say you need to go to the bathroom, but you can't find a bathroom. Now, this means that there's something going on, whether it's pain or rejection, or you have health issues, you need counseling, you need direction, but you can't find the help you need. So maybe you're looking everywhere. Maybe you go get counsel, but they really don't help you or relieve the pain you're in. Or maybe you're seeing several doctors, but they're not really helping your medical condition. This is you trying to go to the bathroom, but not finding any relief. And so ultimately, we know we need to seek the great physician and the great healer. And sometimes we're looking everywhere and going to everyone except for him. But the other thing is, let's say you walk in a bathroom and the toilet is full of waste or urine or whatever. This is something in your life that you need to flush. You need to get rid of it. You need to go ahead and just click that handle, figure out what it is that's stinky, and flush it and get rid of it. And it might be something as simple as, you know, needing to forgive someone, being envious of someone, comparing yourself to others. It could be a number of things. We all have junk. And I love, you know, dreams that are in the shower, dreams in the bathtub, all of this washing and cleansing and healing that happens right there. And, you know, water is life. Water is ruach. Water is healing. And so, yes, there's the flip side of that, is, you know, there's always a flip side, whether you feel like you're drowning in water. But what if you're resting in the water like a child in the womb? What if you're resting in his care and he's healing you and he's giving you shalom, just like when Yeshua goes to John or Yochanan to be immersed. You're going to come up out of that water you know, Crystal was talking about death earlier, and sometimes death in dreams is really good because we all need resurrection and life, and that's what happens next. Now, let me get back to the bathroom dreams. Sometimes you can be going to the bathroom in a dream in front of a lot of people. So you may be getting delivered in a public setting. Let's say you go to a conference, or I know the Women of Valor conference is coming up again this year. Let's say you go there and there's a wonderful time of worship and everything, and people are praying with you, or you hear a message and you get delivered from something. It happens in front of everyone. So we don't want to be worried and concerned about these bathroom dreams, because sometimes we're looking at them and we're like, oh, I'm filthy, I'm awful, I've got all this nastiness in me. And guess what? So does everyone. I'm sorry to say it, but we're all trying to be renewed. We're all trying every day to be prepared to stand before our great holy King. And so these are really good dreams. I wanted to talk a little bit about what Crystal had brought up, the death dreams. And, you know, sometimes you have a dream about someone dying and it's literal. My mom, God rest her soul, one time she had a dream, and her father was sitting on some stairs at the bottom of a staircase, and then her mother was 3 tiers up from that, and then her brother was like 5 more. And she started meditating on it and realized that her dad had died, and then 3 years later her mother had died, and then she was calculating, and soon after that her brother passed away. Well, the father was showing her. And I've had people send me dreams where loved ones are in there that have already passed away, and sometimes they come as a messenger, and sometimes the father wants you to know that they're okay. And one of my friends had sent me a dream where her family was sitting at the table and they were worried about her father. They were worried about his journey, his salvation, whatever. And in her dream, they were all gathered at the table, and the chair where he normally would be sitting at was empty. When she looked in the living room, he was in the recliner, lounging and smiling. And the father was letting her know, look, he's resting. He's resting in that lower garden. He's getting healing. He's doing fine. Don't worry about him anymore. Because many times we do. We overthink things and we become grieved. And so the father was trying to comfort her. Did you all have anything that you wanted to add to that, Brenda or Crystal? Or
Crystal, you go ahead. I don't have anything to add right now.
Well, discussing deceased loved ones in a dream also can be, depending on the context. Like, let's say if it's a grandparent, he could be trying to show you something that may be generational, that may need, that may be some form of blessing, or even some kind of thing that needs to be taken care of, something that does need to die. I know I've had several dreams where there's a certain loved one that keeps dying in my dream, and I would run to Bonnie and I would be terrified and be like, he's gonna die, and she'd tell me, I don't think that's what it is. In some cases, yes, it could be literal, but in this case, the father was showing me that he was dying. His spirit man was dying, and it was very heartbreaking. Sometimes not all dreams that he gives you are encouraging. Sometimes they're warnings to put a guard around your own heart. But yeah,
and to pray.
Yes.
To get down and and pray and ask the Father's ask the Father, why did you show this to me, Father? And how do you want me to pray? How do
Yes.
I align with your will in this? Because it's not this isn't your will. So how do I align my, why did he give you the dream? There's a reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're the person, like Crystal, you're the person that he wanted to give that to because he knew that you would do something with it.
Right. I
Yeah.
pray so.
Hallelujah. Yeah. Okay, Bonnie, go.
Go,
We want
Bonnie,
to pick,
go.
go, Bonnie, go. We want to pick your brain. Let's go.
So back to the deceased loved ones or death dreams.
Mhm.
I think that as Crystal was talking, that happens quite often. And sometimes it might even be your spouse dreams you die, or you dream your spouse dies. And, now that I've moved to Florida, as we were talking about, I don't get to experience the change in the seasons. But, every year with the seasons, the leaves are falling, things are dying, going back into the earth. And then after death comes that resurrection. So I would say, don't be afraid. Don't have this fear. And so, teeth,
That's really good.
teeth
Okay.
in dreams. So we use our teeth to chew and break down our food, right? And so our teeth represent a lot of different things, but trying to digest meat, the word of Yahweh, chewing that food and trying to get it down. Maybe a tooth breaks off because the message was so hard you just couldn't chew it. We have wisdom teeth. If certain teeth are falling out, or we have eye teeth. So think about the prophet or the vision or seeing well. So teeth falling out can also represent our self-image. I think it's been a long time, so it's fuzzy, but one time I had a dream. I dreamt that I was supposed to be doing some kind of show or talk, and my teeth were falling out, or a couple were missing or something. Well, I was so insecure about myself and my worth and my self-esteem and everything that I had a really bad self-image. And so, a lot of times our own personal fear will get into our dreams. And so we also can think of metaphors with teeth. Are we biting off more than we can chew? Are you taking in so much ministry or working overtime at your job or whatever that teeth are breaking off, or you can't chew up the food, it's in your mouth? So I love dentist dreams because dentists help cleanse right? They cleanse our teeth and our mouths. And, if you have dreams with Listerine and all those things, they're really good. Going to the dentist is sort of like going to the hair salon, or, if you're going to the hospital. All of these are really good dreams because you're getting beautified, you're getting cleansed, you're getting a makeover, a reset. And so those are pretty good. Anything on that?
That's good. So you were saying that sometimes when your teeth are falling out, it's an issue of it could be an issue of self-image, or dealing with loss. Okay, because Sombra was asking that specifically.
Yeah, and if you look up the names for different teeth, they have different meanings. And that was really helpful for me when I've had teeth dreams in the past. There is a blog by Doug Addison. He is a Christian who does a little dream interpretation, but he has a specific blog on the teeth that is really well done. So if you want to read that and
Mhm.
take what you can from
Mhm.
that.
Keisha mentioned here having braces on your teeth or your braces coming off of your teeth is training. I love that.
Oh, that's
Keisha, thank
good.
you so much. Right? Because your teeth are being corrected when you have braces on. And when they're coming off, it means the training wheels are coming off, right? Now your teeth are standing straight on their own. You don't need the braces anymore. That's really good. See, these
That
are the
is
things
good.
that we don't think about looking deeper into the imagery. And so this is really good for us, isn't it, ladies?
So I wanted to talk also about vehicles in your dreams. And I know I've shared that before, but be aware of what kind of vehicle you're in, and also just not just the type, because there's family cars, there's sedans, there's Jeeps, there's trucks, there's compact cars, there's sports cars, so be aware of not just that, but also the name of the vehicle that you're in. And I've jotted down a couple that are pretty popular in dreams. One is the Crown Victoria. They call it the Crown Vic. And that's a really good vehicle to have in a dream. Honda Accord, and you see that word for unity. Mercedes, the word means mercy. And so a Silverado, you've got that silver, that redemption. If someone comes by in a pickup truck, a lot of times it's a play on words. They're going to give you a pick me up. If, let's say, you're in a police car, it's going to represent authority, maybe your ministry. Or if you're in a Jeep, you can be going off-road, Land
Oh, that's a good
Rover,
one. Not staying in the lines.
Yeah, but sometimes it's good to go off-road.
Mhm.
Maybe you end up running into a Dodge Viper or a Dodge Ram. So all these plays on words, because I can give you all symbols all day, and I can talk to you about metaphors all day, but truly you are the one who has to really pray, write down these dreams, meditate, and ask the Father, because the Father he is faithful.
Yes, he
It's
is.
sometimes I'll forget about a dream and maybe 6 months go by and he will bring that dream back to me. Bonnie, go look at that dream. Look at that dream, Bonnie, because it's happening right now. And sure enough, it starts playing out. And a lot of times what I thought it was about is not really what it was about. And these are all learning tools.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't speak to any of us the same. I mean, he's not, as Crystal often says, he's not a cookie cutter God. So when he's speaking to you, meditate on it, ask him, knock on the door, So in a dream.
Can I just say in that too, Bonnie, that when that happens and you don't understand and you don't have the interpretation, that's okay too. It's not a once and only type of thing. He wants to speak to you. He wants you to understand what's happening. He wants you to dig in.
Mhm.
So be encouraged if you're having these types of dreams. These people are posting here, white ambulance, black SUV with the doors open. I mean, different things like that. That's awesome. Write it down. Trust him that if he gave it to you, that he is going to show you or bring somebody who will help you in understanding that. But don't feel like it's a once and only, like I can understand it and it's over. He'll speak to you again.
Yes, and often what happens with me is I have the dream and then it starts playing out in the natural. So if you have a convertible, this can be good and bad. Every vehicle I name can be good or bad. We have to look at both sides. A lot of times we want to always start looking at the light. We don't want to be in fear. We
Right.
know that the Father gives dreams, and he gives them to encourage us, to correct us, to warn us of something so we can pray and be aware and be awake. Just like the vision with Peter, where he's poked in the side and he wakes him up. He wants us, to be aware of something. So when the Holy One, the creator of the universe, gives us a dream, I feel like they are important. And yes, sometimes you're just having a dream because you're so stressed out and worried about everything and all the stuff you watched or listened to, or it got all in there. But usually if you have a dream from Adonai, it just keeps coming back and it keeps coming back. And you'll learn that you don't need to be afraid.
Right. Even if it might seem at first glance that it's a scary dream, like you were talking about death dreams, our first reaction would be, oh no, no. But we have to stop and trust him. I love that. Crystal and Bonnie, both of you said that. Just stop and trust him and look for the light. What is it that he's trying to talk to you about? So
I think
it's really good.
even when the dream looks dark, there's always
Mhm.
light.
Right.
Even when the dream's a warning, that's still
Mhm.
for our good. So I don't think there's any bad dreams. They're bad to us, but from his perspective, they're all for our good. He dwells in deep darkness and shrouds of darkness, but even in that, there's light. So if we can train our brains to remember, like, this may appear bad, this may feel really bad, but it's for our good. And also with Peter, the humility and the fact that he did not know what Adonai was saying. We don't always know what he's saying. Like, how could we understand the creator of all things? It's because he allows us to, and sometimes when we can't understand it, it may be because he wants us to press into him even more. We're so worried about the interpretation that we forgot who gave it to us.
That's
Just
good, Crystal.
stick closer to him. And even if you have no understanding about what's going on, when it does play out in the natural, he'll tell you. And a lot of times when it does play out in the natural, it's not nearly as quote unquote bad as when you did dream it. I've never once had a dream that was that terrifying in the natural. And I thought, oh, I could do this. It wasn't that bad.
That's good.
Amen. So back to the cars. Let's say that your vehicle is being towed because you broke down on the side of the road. So you can say, well, this is horrible. I'm broken, I'm down, I need repairs. Well, praise Yahweh that he has sent a tow truck to pull you to a station and gather those people who are equipped to help you with your vehicle, your ministry, your business, whatever is going on. Driving in dreams, are you driving too fast? You got the pedal to the metal. And when I say, are you driving too fast? This could mean so many things, because let's say you really want your husband to see some things he doesn't see. And so you're just on him day and night. You're just pressuring him. You've got the pedal to the metal because you want him to get it. That can be driving too fast. You can be driving your business too fast, your kids too fast, your ministry too fast. You can be just, and other times you may need to really drive fast. You may have deadlines and you may be driving careful, but you may have to speed it up a little bit because maybe you're lagging behind and it's time to catch up. So you can lose control of a car. I mean, my husband's had dreams where I drove a car into a lake. I mean, you know, we all have these types of dreams now and then. And so if you're driving reckless, you're running stop signs, you're swerving and cutting people off, you know, a lot of times, and most of the time, if I was really honest, our dreams are about us. He wants us to be purified. He wants us to be filled with love and kindness and to love our neighbors ourselves. And so many times, what he's trying to say is, hey, Bonnie, slow down, stay in your lane. When I say stop, you need to stop. If it's a green light, you know, I'm using this as an example because I want you all to be more aware of dreams with vehicles. There is also cars that transform. Maybe in your dream, your car is like one of those action figures and it just transforms. So he's letting you know you're like a butterfly, or you know, change is coming. You can get lost. You can be driving and you're lost, and many times you're looking for the GPS, and you know, you're needing direction. All these things with driving, there is so many symbols, just so many. And I'm sure I'm seeing the chat box is pretty full and I can't read that right now, but I'm sure
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you have been sharing that. So the next thing I wanted to touch on was running. How many of y'all ever had a dream where you were running?
Mm-hmm.
So these are interesting. And, you know, I say this a lot because I've had dreams before where I have woke up and I've just been in a panic, and I was like fearful of this dream I had and scared and everything else. And about an hour later, I was so excited about the dream because I'd been looking at the whole thing wrong, and it was my own fears and things were getting in the way where I couldn't see the dream clearly. And as Crystal was talking, having friends that you trust that can help you, uh, you know, that will help you look at it with a different lens. And so you can be running in a dream. Ask yourself, what am I running from? Ask yourself, what's trying to chase you down? Is it Adonai? Are you running from something that he has told you to do? Or are you running in slow motion? It's like you don't have the street, you just, you know, things are possibly getting ready to slow down in your life. Maybe your life was really busy. I read a dream that an author's book I edited, he had a dream in there where he dreamt that he was in a theater and there was a beaver running around in the theater. And the father was letting him know that he was getting ready to be busy as a beaver in a theater because they ended up inviting him and doing this whole series with his ministry. And so the father was letting him know, you're getting ready to be as busy as a beaver. And so, or, you know, then he might have a dream where he's barely running. Everything's slowing down, things slowing down in your life. But, you know, the dreams where you're running, or even you're flying, or it feels like you're levitating, a lot of times he's letting you know that he is lifting you up above those problems, and you're going to have good vision because you're going to be able to see the situation. And so a lot of times I will say the Ruach is lifting you up. You know, people have flying dreams. Those are interesting. There's so many different types of dreams, and they're so creative to you personally. And I think that is so interesting because the Father is so intricate and he's in the details. And I love that
Yes.
about him.
Mhm.
And he will bring things, even from your past or your childhood, things you have forgotten about, people you have forgotten about, just to bring that message and bring that intimacy to you. Um, Somebody had asked me the last time while I was on here, and there's a lot of people on here that I know are great dream interpreters or gifted in that area. Keisha, Sombra, yeah, Crystal. There's probably a lot more of you, and I just don't know you. But someone had asked me last time about your ex showing up in your dream, and this is interesting, isn't it? uh, but it happens quite a bit, and sometimes I think it's maybe going back to old habits, going back to old patterns. uh Possibly you've been walking in Torah, but then you decide, no, I'm going to go back to the congregation I was at. um Possibly one of your spouses begins to um have a moment where they're not their self and they're dealing with stuff that reminds you of your ex. But there's multiple things: leaving your first love, or if you didn't love your ex and they were abusive, or drawing apart. But then sometimes the ex is not a bad thing. And like I said, we're always wanting to look at different sides and the fullness of the dream and the context. But it's not always bad if the ex shows up, and sometimes it's just a warning. One time, a friend of mine had a dream that her brother-in-law was basically running around with this harlot-looking dressed woman. And my friend thought that he was cheating on his wife. And she was in prayer about it. She was really struggling. And she got a phone call not too long after that this man had ended up getting into this cult type church. And so that was really the harlot. And so you can be suspicious of people that show up in your dream, but sometimes the person that shows up in your dream is really you. You're acting like that person. Or they're sent there to help you. We've discussed looking up their name and what their name means, or what their career is. Are they a nurse? Are they a doctor that's come? Are they, I don't know, depending on what the circumstances are. But most of the time in our dreams, he's trying to get a message to us. You might be a cat in your dream. You might be your favorite pet in your dream. You might be one of your children in your dream. You might end up becoming another child in your dream. As you mature and grow, he may change your identity by using that child or the name of your pet. Many times in the dream, the things that are going on are really to help us. Not always. I mean, sometimes the Father will give us a dream or a warning and show us something that's going on in our friend's life. And sometimes it's not even difficult. He'll make the vision plain. He will make it plain
Yes.
so that we
Yes.
can pray. We can
Mhm.
pray for them.
Mhm. Sometimes it's not a parable. Sometimes it's a parable, but sometimes it's just a plain dream, right? And I mean, something that is just, it is what it is, right, Bonnie? I can't believe that our time is up already. This has just been so amazing. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. Please visit Bonnie's site, Elijah's Prophetic Cup on YouTube. And it's in the chat. And also you can go to her website, Tekoa Manning, Tekeoa Manning. And also Crystal, Crystal, your website is It's All Tove Shop, correct?
Yes.
.com. Okay. It's All Tove, T-O-V shop.com. That's hers. And she also has a blog. So you can go on to her website and you'll be able to see where she's at. Hello, Millie's son. So ladies, thank you so much for joining us. Those of you who are live with us, jump in for the after party. We'll have a little after party going on here. Those of you that are listening by recording, thank you so much. Be blessed. Look for the light. Ask the Holy One to bring revelation to you. Write your dreams down. Talk to your friends. Talk to people that you trust that are seeking the Father's heart in your dream interpretation. Crystal, thank you so much again for joining us today. And Bonnie, it's always a pleasure to have you. Ladies, we love you so much. You be blessed. We will see you the first week of March, the first Tuesday of March. We'll have an evening class and we will be talking about Havdalah ceremony and how we set our week up for success. We love you. We love you. We love you. Join us for the after party. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.